Hi guys, it's me, Mr. Wilson, and I am here with Chapter 9. Once again, thanks to StacyPlays and Harper Publishing for letting me read this book aloud to my students. Okay, let's get to it. Chapter 9. After the wolves had finished their dinner, Stacy cleaned and put away their bowls, turned to face the reposing pack. Okay, she announced, rubbing her hands together. I know we've had a long couple of days. Is there anyone who isn't rested enough for chores or guard duty? Wink walked over and put his head on her knee with the saddest expression he could muster. Stacy burst out laughing. She knew that if anyone had been sleeping all day, it was him. Everest let out an affectionate growl. He often let Wink off the hook when it came to guard duty. But tonight, neither one of them was on call. Stacy checked her diary. Basil, you're up, she said. Can you handle it? Basil came over and rubbed Stacy's nose with hers. Thanks, girl, Stacy said, scratching the she-wolf's back. We'll see you in the morning. Basil dashed out of the cave. A couple of bats followed her. What's up with the bats, Everest? She asked. If a wolf were capable of shrugging, Everest would have. He clearly wasn't bothered by them. At least they eat the mosquitoes, Stacy muttered to herself. She walked over to the dog decider and pulled the lever. Paige watched with interest as the river rock dropped out of the wooden cup and into the bird's nest on top of the wheel before finding its way onto the birch bark tube. And finally it landed in front of the pencil. Addison, it's your turn, Stacy said. It's too dark to do much, but we're just going to feed the chickens tonight. The farm can wait till tomorrow. Addison grabbed Stacy's satchel with her teeth and brought it to her. They set out for the chicken coop, with Paige on their heels. Stacy was relieved to see that someone, probably Noah, had already filled the water buckets. She wasn't looking forward to walking to the spring. Before she had even lifted the branch trap door at the coop, Stacy knew something was wrong. It was too quiet. Her heart sank when she came through the tunnel into the clearing, and her suspicions were confirmed. There were feathers everywhere, but not a single chick in sight. Crow and Fluff were missing as well. Eaten by the wild wolves, Stacy surmised. Her shoulders slumped and tears immediately formed in her eyes. Addison nuzzled Stacy's hand while Paige looked on confused, began playing with the feathers. Of course, the dog didn't know their flock was missing, or why. They were doing what they need to do to survive, Stacy said, her voice quivering. To feed their pups. And then she saw it perched up high on one of the spruce trees was Fluff. Poor Fluff. She must have flown up there hoping her chicks would be able to follow. Stacy looked up at Fluff and then down at the trunk of the spruce. There was a small space between the towering trees. Was a pair of gold eyes staring back at her. Dusky. Stacy let out a loud gasp, which in turn scared Dusky off. Addison and Paige came over to the base of the tree, and Stacy used Addison's back as a stepping stool to reach Fluff and bring her down. Together they walked back to the cave in silence. I've lost my main food source for my wolves. Stacy kicked the dirt and wiped a tear from her cheek. She couldn't believe how careless she had been. She knew the wild wolves were expanding their hunting trips. Why hadn't she thought to have one of her wolves guard the chickens? Everest was going to be mad at himself for not thinking of it either. Noah must have caught a trout earlier that day. He had wrapped it in the leaves and set it on a small rock ledge that jutted out over the fire. The smell tickled Stacy's nostrils the minute she re-entered the cave. Thanks, Noah, Stacy said. I'm starving. She used a wide flat stick to lift the fish off the ledge and onto a piece of shale for a plate. Even though she'd eaten earlier, Paige eyed her with the sweetest of looks, and Stacy couldn't help but laugh. Okay, she said, I'll share. It's a reward for the fact that you haven't tried to eat Fluff yet. Stacy glanced up at Fluff, who had roosted high up on the bookcase. When Stacy had finished her meal, she set the fish bones aside. One of her gardening tools said animal bone meal was an excellent fertilizer. Well, one of her gardening books said animal bone meal was an excellent fertilizer. That had turned out to be true. She didn't have the heart to go back to the farm tonight. It was too sad. Don't eat those, she warned Paige. They'll get stuck in your throat. Stacy headed out to the clearing in front of the cave with Everest, finding her by the starlight. Stacy hated to ruin the beautiful night with her terrible news. Reluctantly, she told the alpha wolf about the chicken massacre. I mean, should we have Noah fish more so we can bring food to the wolves and they won't have to go to the farms? Stacy wondered aloud as she began to pace outside the cave with Everest. That's only a temporary solution, though. They've outgrown this part of the taiga. Some of them need to move deeper into the forest. They need to start a new pack, but how can we convince them to do that? They're a family unit. It would be like someone telling our pack to separate. We'd never do it. Everest stared at the ground, his icy gray eyes expressing concern. It's going to be all right, boy, Stacy said, gently patting Everest on the head. We'll figure this out, and just like we figure out all of our other animal rescues. But deep down, Stacy was worried. This wasn't like any other previous rescues. Trying to force a large pack of wolves to move territories was nothing like saving a rabbit from drowning or feeding a baby owl. In fact, these wolves didn't even know they were in danger at all. These wolves are members of our taiga family, same as any other creature, Stacy said to Everest, his head raising to meet her gaze. We have to find a way to protect them, somehow. And that's the end of Chapter 9. Man, it's getting good. So we will see tomorrow what is going on with, first of all, the chickens. What are they going to do? And how are they going to keep that other wolf pack happy? Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying, and I will see you guys soon. Love you. Bye.